With the 18th pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the Las Vegas Aces select Kate Martin.
Okay, that was Kate Martin of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Absolutely shocked that her name was called tonight in the WNBA draft. In fact, she was picked number 18th. She's going to the back-to-back champions, the Las Vegas Aces. Kate Martin said that she was hoping her name would actually be called, but she was actually there to support, of course, her friend, Caitlin Clark, and to nobody's surprise, not even the Indiana Fever could screw it up. They took Caitlin Clark with their first pick in the WNBA draft. But hey, tonight's show is not about the WNBA draft. It is actually about LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers staying in New Orleans to do battle with the New Orleans Pelicans. I basically like to call this play-in game a game in which I think LeBron James is like a shark. He's just circling. He's circling and waiting to attack the New Orleans Pelicans. And in fact, he took the first bite out of the Pelicans a couple nights ago in their victory 124-108 in New Orleans. I want to talk about that play-in game specifically on tonight's show. I'll be right back. We've got a brand new intro. I wanted to try it out. We're going to play it. It's like 15 seconds long. Back after that.
You're listening to The Underrated with Dave Dabba, the only show in North America that believes the Rudy Gobert trade worked out for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Presented by underrated.media.
So I'm not sure, new announcer guy, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, LeBron James in the play-in is like a shark circling and getting ready to attack, is how I like to think about LeBron James thinking about playing this New Orleans Pelicans team tomorrow night. I think there's absolutely very little chance that the Los Angeles Lakers don't actually come away with a win. The last thing LeBron James at this particular age, 21 years into the National Basketball Association, wants to do is actually play a second play-in game. You know, as I call it, the NBA's play-in tournament is the tournament that nobody wants to play in. You know, sort of like this year's NIT. It is an absolute fact that you know LeBron James is going to be the Swiss Army knife tomorrow night. He's going to do everything that he could possibly do to make sure that this Los Angeles Lakers team crosses the finish line tomorrow night with an actual victory. Look, the Lakers played the Pelicans, as I mentioned, a couple nights ago. And in that game, LeBron had 28 points. LeBron had 17 assists. And LeBron, in year 21, had 11 rebounds. And for you math majors out there, that was a triple-double. Look, the Lakers are not going to lose to the Pelicans in New Orleans tomorrow night. I would be so shocked if that actually happens. I was trying to come up with like something that would be so shocking that it would be like Caitlin Clark going number 2 in tonight's WNBA draft. That would have sent shockwaves around the world, if you know what I mean. Look, this is assuming everybody's healthy and plays healthy throughout the game. Anthony Davis, Rory, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves. If they can limit the Spencer Dinwiddie minutes and limit the Taurean Prince minutes down to between 10 and 15 minutes apiece, then this Los Angeles Laker team should be good to go. Now, if you're a Laker fan, you know that Gabe Vincent finally played in a game. Gabe Vincent played 13 minutes, had 1 assist in his last game that he played. The Lakers do not want to be in the play-in. They want to get themselves out of the play-in as soon as possible so that they can actually get to what they need to be doing right now, which is resting up to do battle with the most likely Denver Nuggets in the first round of the NBA playoffs. And look, anything is possible with a LeBron James who is rested and not having to actually go all the way through the playoffs and then make it to the Western Conference Finals and then have to go head to head with the Joker and his cast of characters. I think this is a huge advantage for the Lakers to actually draw the Nuggets as early as they did, assuming they get by the actual New Orleans Pelicans. So look, the second game of the night is the Golden State Warriors. I'm based here in the Bay Area. Been to plenty games at Chase Center. Been to plenty games in Sacramento over the years to watch the Kings play. I can tell you that the Kings team appears to be reeling from what really just sort of looks like a team that has been figured out by other teams in the NBA. That happens often. So I think anything short of Steph Curry going 0 for 10 from the three-point arc and Keegan Murray putting up 50 for the Sacramento Kings, I think the probability, as the Magic 8 ball might say, is high that Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors will win this particular game against the Sacramento Kings. All right, so those are my Western Conference play-in predictions. All right, and finally tonight, and a lot of you will probably be hopefully seeing and or hearing this in the morning during drive time, but the NBA announced earlier in the day that it set an attendance record with over 22.5 million fans actually showing up to see regular season games in person. Yes, this is a story that we have covered on our website as well. Now, I thought it was sort of interesting because when you think of the bad basketball teams in the association, like the Detroit Pistons, the Washington Wizards, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trailblazers, the Memphis Grizzlies, primarily because of all of the injuries, and I could go on and on and on. There's at least another 5 teams that, quite frankly, were not that good this year and clearly weren't going anywhere and honestly didn't deserve a tremendous amount of fan support. I will give it to the Detroit Pistons and the Detroit metropolitan area because they did come out to see the Pistons lose this year. I think they had the 15th highest attendance in the association. Now, this next thing might not surprise you too much, but a 12% jump in ticket sales for the Oklahoma City Thunder was the highest jump of any team in the NBA this particular season. And I know you're like, what about Wemby? What about Wemby? You have to remember, San Antonio, despite all of the bad basketball that's been played there over the last 5 years, has an extraordinarily loyal fan base. So an improvement, yes, for the San Antonio Spurs, but not a huge jump like that of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Timberwolves ended up in 4th in the jumping up in the positive attendance rankings in the NBA, with attendance up in Minnesota just under 8% for the year. Look, at the end of the day, when you think about the NBA and why it was so successful this year from an attendance standpoint. Now, look, we are not talking television ratings. We're not talking streaming. I'll bring up a TV stat for you here in just a second. but we are talking attendance. And when you think about what they did with the in-season tournament, that coveted trophy, or as I like to call it, the trophy that may be coveted someday. That whole in-season tournament thing really did work and really did infuse some additional interest in the NBA in the middle part and beginning part of the season. So that didn't surprise me so much that things went up. Now, the ratings for the championship game between Tyrese Halliburton and LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers were huge. 4.58 million people tuned in. Now, I do want to point out that 16 million people tuned in to watch the NCAA Women's Finals basketball game. I'm just saying. But look, in terms of the NBA, a league in which every team is forced to play 82 games, there certainly was a lot of interesting storylines. And when you think about it, from LeBron to Steph to Wemby to Luka to the Joker to Embiid to Paul George to Giannis to Tatum to SGA and to Tyrese Halliburton to Jalen Brunson, all the way through to Anthony Edwards. I could have listed off another 10 players. The storylines in the NBA are absolutely fantastic. And in fact, the storylines are so great that I think the NBA is actually using the NFL's storyline writers for this particular year. All right, that is it for tonight's Underrated. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. When you do have a chance, check out our big sports website at underrated.media. Also, because that's not enough, we have a brand new newsletter which is just coming out. We're in our first week of publishing the newsletter, so subscribe to the newsletter when you have a chance. For the Underrated, I am Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day, and to the guitar riffs we go.